Hey guys, this is the last of three videos on controversy in art. Last time I talked about the idea of the medium and the message. And first we talked about the principles of art, then mimesis, then we talked about the medium and the message and how that related to abstract art is also seen in Scott McCloud's Understanding Comics. For this site, I want you to. It's probably best if you go to the link that's on the PowerPoint, which is history.com's most controversial art in history, which is a set of 10 with brief descriptions. I'm going to make some comments on those art piece and try to explain some of their artistic elements but at the same time that they're controversy. And so you probably want to go there first. Also, one of the things is that as you know me as a teacher, I am trying to convey to you how to evaluate controversy on your own. So we have this website that says these things are controversial, and we also have them say that they're art, by the way. And some people say that some of them are morally reprehensible. And as you know, as your teacher, I'm always trying to give you the viewpoints, but I'm not necessarily selling one for the other. The second is, don't feel like you have to like any of this art, and don't feel like you have to like abstract art. I just want to tell you the underlying uh, proposed rules about these and give you the tools to evaluate it for yourself. But it's up to you to think, to see if it's right, to see if it's good, or to see if it's valuable. Okay, and off we go. All right, this is the first one on the history.com website, and this is the Last Judgment by Michelangelo. And the thing about this art is that it was incredibly controversial for its content, as you saw. But as you see, it's got a lot of the classic elements. Remember that it was done as a fresco on a wall, so it had to cover a very wide space. A lot of times, art has to be seen if good or bad in context. What's really interesting about this is that, and I think it's good they had some historical examples of this is considered kind of canon right now. It's considered established conservative art. But at the time, it was very, very controversial, lewd. It was created exceptionally violent reactions. But now we don't think it's that. We don't think it is that uncommon, or we don't think it's that controversial. But it was at the time. Um, Again, another piece of art that may be difficult out of context to understand the controversy. But anytime that you deal with religion and art or sex and art, anytime that you use the medium and the message to try to convey that, you're going to get those controversies. As you can read on the website, part of this was the portrayal of St. Matthew. Many times, also with crucifixions, this becomes an issue because Jesus is often seen in a number of ways. Was Jesus very strong and muscular, or was he a very, very small person? The artist has to interpret, anytime that you use art to interpret religion, you're kind of saying something about the religion, which makes it very difficult. Um, but at the same time, sometimes things can be too real. In other words, because art shows certain aspects of reality through mimesis, there's some aspects that people don't want to be captured. And this is where you can get into controversy. Like, for example, should gross things should be seen? Should evil things be seen? Should sadistic or vile things be seen? Is it is the duty of art to shine its light of truth everywhere, or are there some things we don't need to make art about? Um, and this is kind of true in this case. I just want to point out however, that although the controversy, the artist still has to use artistic methods. For example, the variance here with the chiaroscuro, with the light and dark shading, the emphasis here, the way that the eyes are going, the focus, the balance proportion. Besides being a controversial topic, it has artistic elements to it. We always have to get to Duchamp. So, this is the Fountain by Duchamp, and it was famous in its time, and it's still considered quite a controversy. But part of abstract art is art contemplating itself and asking what is art and what are the institutions of art. Toilets are designed, so why are they not art? And by putting it in a museum, do you then, in fact, make it art? Or does it make a statement about the nature of art? So, in other words, if these things seem confusing and vexing, it's meant to be that way. It's meant to make you think about what is the nature of this. And this piece of art, though, was in 1917. So this concept of abstraction is not something that came out in the 90s or something like that, or the wild 70s. It's been around us for a long time. And it's it is something incredible when it is perceived that way. So again, I'm not selling you the toilet as art. I can't even sell toilets. But you might want to think about the ideas that went behind it in the context of the world of art and the art world. Like how would they react to it? What were the conversations? Why was there so much to talk about this? Besides just, oh, it's stupid or it's silly. And then we start getting into art, art finding its own limits. So as you know from the story from the website, a younger artist took a drawing by a older artist and took months and months to erase it all, put a frame on it, and let it be seen in a museum. So this kind of starts the conversation about the art. Is it still an art with its race? No, it doesn't seem it, but it was the art. There are vague impressions on it they didn't get off. Is that suggestive of something? Is it the relationship of a younger artist to an older artist, as the website indicates? What is the nature of art? Can art be erased? We often have a sense that arts are artifacts. The fact that arts are there's just one thing of it. But in an age of reproduction, are we really concerned about seeing the Mona Lisa when you can pull it up digitally on the screen? What's the difference? There's a color difference, but what if the difference, the one on my screen is actually better? All right, we got a little tangent, a timeout tangent. Performance art is kind of a combination of multiple mediums, and it's often the most controversial because it has aspects of abstract nature, and also the message is often very unnerving. Um, in this particular case, there were numerous museum patrons that would come and get to sit in front of the artist. The artist wouldn't do anything. The artist would just sit there and look at them. But she was a live person. So, in what sense is this art? It was an attempt to, like, for example, talk about the connection between the art and the artist. She got then to look at them as they looked at her. Instead of them just looking at her art, they had the actual artist. She had gotten some fame much before that, looking at them. So there's this kind of sense where performance art is often transgressive. It tries to find out what the limits of art and the relationship between the artists and the viewers are. Two aspects of performance art are these kinds of things that involve sometimes violence and transgression and asking about personal space and these kinds of issues. And there were strong emotional reactions at both these shows because it kind of broke down a lot of societal barriers and made people, the idea was to make people kind of think about those barriers. I'm not doing this one. You can, no, not gonna do it. Not gonna do it. There's some things we don't often consider as art, and we have, the pyramids were art, the Statue of Liberty is art, and when we put art to try to express really important things that are difficult to express otherwise, we take a kind of a burden, and that's sometimes the controversy because sometimes the things that need to represent this, are so important. This is the same thing with religion. When you try to express something that's very, very important to a person, often there is controversy around the corner. And then there is the idea of attacking the very notion of art and value. You often have the conversation, why would you pay so much money of this? Well, you're not the only one that has this. This particular artist paid tens of thousands of dollars for a vase, and then he broke it. And that was his statement of art. And it calls into question, why should there be that much money for a vase? Why is it valuable? Why can't art be repurposed with pop colors? Some of this, the accusation against this is it can be done just to be shock. And I think that if it's just done for shock value, then I don't think it's very good art. But if there's some message, if there's some content or some exploration of the medium, then I would suggest arguably it might be a candidate for art. And here we got multiple controversies: the topic, the medium, the interjection of various images. But my point is that it's still art. It obeys the same rules that basic painting did, the same things as the Mona Lisa, used very different ways and perhaps saying something very, very different, but still very, very much an attempt to engage the conversation of art. So, what is art? What is controversy? You have to remember that a lot of times people get turned off of art because they don't even engage in the situation. So I'm not selling you on what to like, what not to like, what to think is controversy or not. But I guess I am selling that there are ideas and rules behind these things that have been formed and then also are broken, explored, much like the rules that are formed and broken in science or other areas. And also, it's a really high stake because art can control your mind, writing can control your mind, uh, acting can control your mind, and you need to figure out the tools that's used to control your mind so you can be a more active participant and maybe someone who creates art on some kind of yourself. Because when we do that, we're taking responsibility for a very, very strong medium. If you're making it to make racist propaganda, you know, is that art? And to what extent, as a society, should we tolerate the very, very abstract or the very, very controversial? Um, to what extent should things be criticized, shunned, or censored? We'll talk about that next time.